All right, guys, it is Brutus J, and this is the Brutus J Podcast. Guys, we are officially 3 days away from the big game. We're going to get into that and much more, including NBA trade talks, college sports. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to these college athletics, the NCAA, that and much more. So you already know the saying. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, as I said, this is the Brutus J Podcast, and I am Brutus J. Guys, it's been a minute. I think a week and some change, but hey, I tell you what, when you're your own boss, hey, you record when you want to record. I told you, I love doing what I do, and I appreciate my supporters, but hey, sometimes your boy Brutus J got to have some family time. He got to have some family time. But I can say this right here. It's been 3 months, and we are on episode number 34. So, hey, I ain't mad at that. I am not mad at that at all. But we're going to get into a lot today. Beginning with NBA. Trade deadline ended today as of February the 5th, 3 p.m. A lot of moves have been made. Anthony Davis went to the Washington Wizards. James Harden went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Darius Garland went to the LA Clippers. Jaren Jackson Jr. went to the Utah Jazz. And then as of today, I think more moves were made. But we're going to get into as much as we can. And it looks like, as we get closer and closer to the All-Star break, the NBA is starting to kind of shape up to get into a playoff format. Some of these teams, they're starting to boost their rosters up for a playoff push. But you know me, hey, I'm still sticking with the San Antonio Spurs coming out the West. And the New York Knicks, by the way, who are red hot coming out the East. But let's talk about some of these NBA games that has been going on as of late. Also, by the way, we are going to talk about college basketball because we got a big-time girls basketball game taking place a little later at 9 o'clock between LSU Tigers and the Texas Longhorns. But let's get started with the NBA. As of right now, the Wizards and the Pistons are playing, and the score is 51-37 in the second quarter. The Nets are losing to the Magic currently, 48-27 in the second quarter. The Hawks are tied with the Jazz in the first quarter, 19-19. And the Bulls and the Raptors are leading 25-15 in the first quarter. Quite a few games going on, and then later on, you got the Spurs and the Mavericks playing. The Warriors at the Suns, and the 76ers are at the Lakers. Man, I tell you what, this Lakers situation, we talked a couple of weeks ago, the situation with LeBron, they're going to play through it. I really do believe this is going to be LeBron's last year at LA. They will not renegotiate his contract. I think LA is pretty much officially done with LeBron James. I think for now that team is going to belong to Luka Doncic. So, look forward to LeBron moving on elsewhere. But I really do think the King is trying to hang around for his other son to get in the league. Once his other son get in the league and he can play a few games with him, I think he's going to hang it up. But, shout out to LeBron. I'm still a Jordan guy. Jordan is the GOAT to me, but LeBron has had one fantastic career that you cannot say. You can't say nothing about that. I mean, the kid has a lot of tread on his tires. He has been in the league since the age of, I want to say, was it 17, 18? So he is on like year 2021. That's a lot of tread on the tires. So, and to keep his body in shape and keep going like that, that is very special. But shout out to LeBron James. Now, as far as the standings go right now, Detroit is still on top of the East at 37-12. Right behind Detroit is the New York Knicks at 33-18. And as I said, the Knicks have won 7 straight games, and Boston is coming in at third. And in the Western Conference, no shocker, Oklahoma City 40-12, and San Antonio 34-16, and then at third, Denver at 33-19. So hey, like I said, I picked the Spurs and the Knicks. Not that bad. Who knows? The only thing I would be worried about is the West, because you got the defending champions over there, and they ain't losing for nobody, buddy. They're not losing for nobody. Now, let's talk about some college basketball. Later on this Saturday, you got Duke on the road to face my North Carolina Tar Heels. Yes, you see the LSU stuff around, but I love me some North Carolina Tar Heels, and I'm pulling for the Tar Heels all the way. But let's get into some college basketball games that have been going on so far. Tonight, you got Michigan at home against Penn State, and they're just taking them to the woodshed, and the score is 85-44. Michigan is all over Penn State. Michigan pretty much done dominated almost every game this year. Every game. They've only lost one game. I'm surprised they lost that one, but they lost to I want to say it was Wisconsin at a shocker at home. But Michigan, other than that, has dominated every game this year. As of Wednesday, Houston 79-55 over Central Florida. Minnesota defeated Michigan State by the score of 76-73. Louisville all over Notre Dame 76-65. Illinois defeated Northwestern 84-44. Oklahoma State defeated BYU 99-92. That was an upset. Portland defeated Gonzaga 87-80. Another upset. Clemson defeated Stanford 66-64. That rounded out Wednesday's game. As I said, Saturday is a big day for college basketball because Duke and North Carolina, one of the best rivalries in the sport. So definitely looking forward to watching that game. Now let's talk about I almost said it, the big game between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Folks, hey, I got to tell you, this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big one. I was telling my wife, I don't think, usually, let's be real. The number one meal for the Super Bowl is wings. You got your wings, you got your nachos, a pizza. I don't want to do none of that this year. I want to do a little something different. I told her, let's change it up. Maybe something like a seafood ball. It kind of sounds a little corny, but I just want to change it up this year just to see how that goes. Get the newspaper out, dump all the seafood out where you can just pick and crack and eat and watch the game. What's wrong with that? Something a little different this year, but we'll see if the wife approves of that. But that's definitely what I want to do this Sunday. But let's get into this game. Let's talk about the matchups. Man, you got Drake May, second year in the league. If he wins this Super Bowl, he's gonna be the youngest quarterback in NFL history to win the Super Bowl. How about that? And a little bit of history for you. North Carolina, I want to say, has like 6 quarterbacks who have played in the Super Bowl. So that's a crazy stat line. That is a crazy stat line. And by the way, for 25 straight years, an LSU Tiger has participated in the Super Bowl. So, hey, I think as of now, it's 6 of them in the Super Bowl. Alabama has 8 in the Super Bowl. So those two teams been neck and neck this whole century when it comes to everything in football, in the NFL. College and all, one of the great rivalries of college football, LSU and Alabama. Now, let's not get out of hand. Let's talk about this Super Bowl some more. So, as I said, the matchup, Sam Darnold, 4,048 yards on the year, 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Drake May, 1,394 yards, 31 TDs, and 8 interceptions. All right, let's talk about the rushing stats. Kenneth Walker III, 1,027 yards, 221 carries, 5 touchdowns. Travion Henderson, 911 yards, 180 carries, and 9 touchdowns. Receiving yards, you got Jackson Smith and Jigba, 1,790. This guy is a flat-out dog. And, of course, you already know with the New England Patriots, you got Stephon Diggs leading them in yards and receptions. And let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Leonard Williams, Seattle, 7 sacks. Landry III for the New England Patriots, 5 sacks. And by the way, he's questionable, but you know he's going to play in this game. 126 tackles by Jones IV. Also, Spielman for the New England Patriots, 97 tackles. He's also listed as questionable, but you know they're going to play in this game. So you definitely can count on that. The game, by the way, 6:30. Traditional the same way. Pre-game festivities are going to start probably around 1 o'clock. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. But this is the Sunday that everybody is waiting for. I'm pretty sure nobody expected it to be Seattle and the Patriots. I picked them in the championship games to be here, but all year I had Detroit and Buffalo going, and boy was I wrong. I almost was right about Buffalo, but that definitely didn't happen. But anyway, When it comes to the picks, whoo, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Big time Drake May fan. My son played with Drake May, by the way. I'm rolling with the Patriots. I'm rolling with the Patriots to win this Super Bowl, but I am really concerned when it comes to Seattle. I'm really concerned with them because Seattle, the one reason why I'm rooting for the Patriots because it's at a neutral site. Seattle, at home they are very, very hard to beat, and they've had a pretty good year, on the road as well. But I just think in this game right here, I feel like the Patriots are going to be able to get to Sam Darnold, and I think Drake May is going to have a game because Drake May is a baller. It's in his DNA, and I think the Patriots are going to take it. And how about that? If you, by the way, if you Bill Belichick, how are you feeling right now? How you feeling about that right now, Bill Belichick? I mean, for those who don't know, earlier this year, there was a little controversy going on at North Carolina. Mr. Belichick didn't want anything affiliated with the Patriots going on video when it came to videos. He didn't want scouts there, none of that. He didn't want none of it. Didn't want nothing to do with that. Even when Drake May had a good game, he wanted it shut down on Twitter, didn't want no videos. But you already know North Carolina handled that, and those videos continued on. But now, the fact that the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, how you feel about that, Bill? How do you feel about that? That's whoo. I know it's kind of a gut punch to him, but hey, it's reality. New England Patriots just have a great organization, man. Me being a Minnesota Viking and a lot of Falcon fans that live locally around here, these guys lost the greatest head coach of all time, the greatest quarterback of all time. And here they are, some 7, 8 years later without Tom Brady, back in the Super Bowl. And you got teams like the Falcons, the Cowboys. I could just name many teams in the NFL and not even make the playoffs and have rebuilt time after time after time in the draft. And all the Patriots do is still consistently scouting good, drafting good, making good trades, picking the best coaches like Mike Vrabel. Tennessee did him wrong. Even if you Tennessee, you got to be feeling sick right now because Mike Vrabel is a great coach. Look at what he's doing at New England. New England all around is just a great organization. And speaking of the organization, for those who don't know, Bill Belichick was left out of the Hall of Fame first ballot this year. Robert Kraft, same thing, left out first ballot this year. I think it's ridiculous. I do. I think it's ridiculous, but I understand I know it's a little confusing. Let me explain. It's no secret that the reason why both of them was kept out was because of Spygate. Same as in MLB. When you get caught cheating, whether it's steroids, same thing with Pete Rose, gambling, those writers, they don't care. They don't care. The difference is this right here. I feel like the writers, for those who don't know, the media and sports writers, they're responsible for the voting, for the ballots. I feel like with Bill Belichick, all they're doing is sending a clear message. We don't want you in first ballot because of what happened. If you think about it, if you're a St. Louis Rams fan back, when the Patriots played in the Super Bowl, it was cheating going on in that game. So you probably cheering right now. You probably loving this. But I feel like not the NFL, the sports writers and the media, they send a clear message, we're not going to let you in. This is pretty much his punishment because you got to look at it this way. If you're going to do that to Bill Belichick, what you going to do? Do it to Tom Brady? You know that's not going to happen. Tom Brady is definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which means, by the way, once Tom Brady gets in, I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick will. I think Belichick, I'm not sure if Brady going to be eligible next year, but I think next year, Bill Belichick is going to get in because the backlash was crazy. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, people are losing it. I mean, the man has 10 Super Bowls, 2 as an assistant, and then 8 Super Bowls. 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a Patriot, and 2 as an assistant. So how can you keep somebody out? Most playoff wins, most division championships. I mean, just all those accolades, and you keep him out first ballot. That's crazy to me. So obviously, like I said, it was Spygate, but he will definitely get in next time, in my opinion. But like I said, once again, I am picking the New England Patriots to win the big game. All right. Now I feel like we should get into some college football. Guys, man, I know the season is over, but it's just been a lot going on. And I want to touch on a couple of things. Not just college football, but let's talk college basketball too. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what. Let's talk college basketball first when it comes to the transfer portal. So for those who don't know, there's a lot going on. Like there's this thing going on to where they're trying to get it to where, let's say if you're a college basketball player and at the end of the year, freshman, sophomore, regardless of what you are, you declare for the draft, right? Now they got a rule to where you can declare for the draft and you can eventually, it's a deadline of where you can change up and you can come back, right? Well, now as a G League player in the NBA, they're trying to get it to where you can come back, but the NCAA ain't having it. So there's a case with an NBA player in the G League. He's worn the jersey. He was with the Detroit Pistons. He's in their G League. Well, now he's trying to come back and play for Alabama. And the NCAA ain't having it. Even the commissioner of the SEC doesn't want it to happen. He wants the rules to stay the same. He doesn't want it to happen. He does not want it to happen. Now, same thing in college. Not NFL players being able to come back to college, but a lot of players are getting denied 6-year eligibility, some 7-year. We got guys that done been in college 9 years. There's a player, I kid you not. Nah, there's a player with the Miami Hurricanes right now going in on his 8th year. There's certain players that are getting granted more years, and then there's some, you might have a player to get granted like an 8th or a 9th year, and then another player trying to get a 6th year and he'll get denied. So mixed reaction, like mixed decisions by the NCAA. Trinidad Chambers for Ole Miss, the quarterback, denied for the 3rd time. He's going to court to try to get it sanctioned so he can come back. Now, talked about what's going on in college, NBA to college, and then what's going on in college football. I'm going to give y'all my opinion. This is crazy. We got to stop. I understand the red shirt year, which enables you to be in college 5 years. I get that. I understand what happened during the COVID year. You had your COVID years. I understand all that. But to me, it seems like since the COVID era, they're trying to normalize being in college past 5 years. It's ridiculous. 5 years top, that's it. If it hadn't been some kind of natural disaster or something going on or whatever, you need to get out of college. I think it's flat out ridiculous that they're trying to allow somebody who declared for the draft. If you declare for the draft and, at the last minute you want to come back, that's fine. But once you declare for the draft, you put that jersey on. I don't care if it's for the G League or if it's for the actual organization on their court, either or. Once you put that jersey on, game over. You do not deserve to come back to college. That's ridiculous. You do not deserve to come back for college. College football. Players in the league at 7, 8, 9 years, that's ridiculous. And to be honest with you, this is all the NCAA fault. They opened the door for this. Again, over it, I get it. But it seemed like after that, it kind of became normalized because after that, they started letting guys stay a little extra. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, 6, 7, 8 years. Then you deny guys who 6 years. I mean, it's ridiculous. 5 years max, and that's it. You got players right now that are older than NFL players who has been in the league. You got NFL players who've been in the NFL 2 and 3 years, and you got guys in college who's older than them. Trinidad Chambers, I think he 23, 24 years old. He's older than Drake May. Trinidad Chambers is older than Drake May. And he trying to come back to college, and Drake May in his 2nd year in the Super Bowl, and you got Trinidad Chambers trying to come back. Man, go to the NFL, man. Go to the NFL. If Trinidad Chambers go to the NFL, there is no doubt in my mind he's a top 5, top 3 quarterback. What, Ty Simpson better than him? No. Fernando Mendoza better than him? No. I don't think he is. That's my opinion. But if I'm Trinidad Chambliss, I'm trying to go to the NFL. There's no reason. You don't need to come back there. Just go pro. I know it's going to hurt a lot of Ole Miss fans, but, that's what needs to happen. I mean, I don't understand how, you want to stay in college past 5 years at the age of 23, 24, 25, 26. Both for Indiana running backs, 23 and 24 years old. But here's the thing. Just like the NFL a copycat league, college a copycat league. But you know who I feel sorry for the most? High school athletes. Nowadays in high school, if you're not a legit 5-star or a high 4-star, you're barely making it to Power 4 schools. If that, probably not. What they're doing now, if you're 3-star, low 4-star, some even high 4 stars, they're going to Group 5 schools, G6, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to stay there maybe 1-2 years, have a good year, and a Power 4 school going to come and pluck them out. Now, what does that say to these G4 schools? G5 schools, I'm sorry. What does that say to them? A lot of them schools complain. Oh, we're getting plucked, we're getting tampered. Yes, they are. They are. That is the way to go now. That is exactly the way to go now. You can't go straight. Don't count on going straight to a Power 4 school. They're going JUCO, some even going JUCO to Group 5, then Power 4. I mean, a lot of these schools, especially in basketball, don't even let me get started in college basketball. Just like John Calipari said, I mean, they're not even drafting high school basketball players no more. Like, it's just straight transfer portal. Remember, basketball roster is not a football roster. It's a whole lot smaller. Rosters are just filled with grown men. When I say grown men, we're talking coming out of the transfer portal as a junior. They looking for grown men. It's about championships. You know what I'm saying? These schools don't care. They throwing out money. By the way, Florida State. They said Florida State is in debt, $400 and something million. According to Florida State, most of it is renovation on the stadium and a sports building, but it's mighty funny that article got thrown out there like that. I mean, these schools are spending money, including, my guys, LSU, they spending money. I mean, I love the roster LSU is building. And what's crazy is LSU is number 1 in the transfer portal, but they didn't even spend the most money. Number 1 in the transfer portal, they didn't even spend it. You know who spent the most money? Texas Tech and Texas. Miami, USC. They spent a lot of money. A lot of money. And, these schools are throwing money out like that. But when they're not winning, man, I am very interested to see how it's going to go. The money that my Tigers, LSU done spent, I hope they win it because it's win now. When you spend close to $40 million, it's win now, baby. Not no, rebuilding year. No. When you rebuilding through the transfer portal like that, LSU got 60 new players, 40 in the transfer portal with experience. So it's win now, not win later. If you don't win now, you best believe fans are coming to chop your head off. They coming to chop your head off, but I'm confident the LSU Tigers going to have a great year. But there are other teams, they're not doing as much. They're not doing much. Alabama, they didn't really do nothing in the transfer portal. But Alabama has a lot of talent. I think at Alabama it's more coaching than anything. Georgia, same thing. They lost a lot of players. Well, not that many. They lost some, but they didn't do a lot of, recruiting in the transfer portal. Yep, Clemson, same. You already know Clemson. The thing that kills me with Clemson, with Dabo, the situation with Ole Miss. So, again, for those who don't know, Clemson recently got a kid from Cal who was pretty much the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year. He didn't sign an NIL deal or any kind of rev share, whatever you want to call it, but he was enrolled to the school in class. Ole Miss managed to contact him Excuse me. It might have been Dabo getting at me. Let me get the story right. So this kid was enrolled at Clemson, and Ole Miss contacted him. They got screenshots of the text and all that. Ole Miss contacted him and asked him how much his buyout was. He hadn't signed anything, just like I said, enrolled at school. But it was he obviously knew how much he was getting. So Ole Miss pretty much upped the pay and steered him away from Clemson, and it got Dabo mad. And he called a press conference and pretty much called out Pete Golden, the whole Ole Miss, organization for it, tampering. But my thing is this right here. And I've talked about this. I made a few shorts or reels or whatever you want to call them on social media. If you're Ole Miss, out of any school, why on earth would you mess with Clemson? I feel like let's be real. All of college football tamper. Everybody, including my guys back here, they tamper. Everybody tamper. Ole Miss blatantly tamper and didn't care. Matter of fact, they got an old saying: Pete does what Pete want to do. Even though, in my opinion, it was an amateur dumb move for Pete Golden to do that. But back to what I was saying. Out of any school, you do that to Clemson. Dabo is just going to make it hard on everybody. Dabo was not having it in that press conference. And the thing is, with most situations, you don't have facts or proof. Clemson got proof. And so who knows where it's going to go. In my opinion, I don't think the NCAA is going to do anything, but something's going to happen eventually, because this was a little too blatant by Ole Miss to do that. And we're talking about a team who's been accusing Lane Kiffin of tampering since day one. They claim he did a lot of FaceTime calls and all this, but no proof whatsoever. But shout out to Ole Miss, because, hey, they've had a good year in the transfer portal as well. They came in at number 2 or whatever. So that rivalry is, the Ole Miss LSU rivalry is going to be on a whole nother level this year. So definitely looking forward to that. All right. But that is my opinion on the transfer portal, players trying to come from the NBA back to college. As I said, ridiculous. Something needs to happen, and hopefully we'll get this figured out so our high school kids can, have a legit high school year, and to be able to go to where they want to go to in college. Because if you talented like that, these coaches, they wouldn't mind bringing these high school players in here, but you cannot blame a coach for going with experience, you know what I'm saying, over, somebody, fresh. I get that, but it's still not fair, to these kids coming out of high school. But eventually, like I say, they're coming out of high school. Eventually, they work their way to a Power 4 conference, but it's a little later on. So, but that is my opinion. All right, now we are exactly 1 week away from the college baseball season, where the defending champion LSU Tigers, who are winners of 8 national championships, will be on a diamond against Milwaukee. I am a big-time LSU Tiger baseball fan, and I am looking forward to the baseball season. So we will be talking baseball soon, just like MLB. MLB will be coming. The only thing about Major League Baseball, the season is just so long. Oh, my God. I like the fact they've shortened up, the game a little bit, with the pitching, but the regular season is just so long. But the one thing I can say about Major League Baseball, they pay. Out of any sport, Major League Baseball, they pay good. They pay good. And I think because of what's going on with them, the rest of the sporting world is starting to look at it. Yep, they're starting to look at it. Now, let's talk about the WNBA. I love WNBA. As of right now, I think they got their other little league that's going on right now. But they, as of late, there was a leak of the collective bargaining agreement, and that was pretty much denied by the WNBA. So let's talk about this right here. Now, I like Caitlin Clark. I like Angel Reese. I like a lot of these other WNBA players. But to me, the problem is this right here. The old guard is holding the WNBA back. The old guard is you heard it right here. The old guard is holding the WNBA back. And I'm going to tell you what I mean. A lot of the older players, want more money. You want to know why they want more money? It's because college athletes are already coming into the WNBA bankrolling money. NIL money. They're coming into the league rich already. They already got the upper hand on a lot of these other girls who have been in the NBA for years. Do they deserve more money? Yes, but here's the problem. The WNBA has failed them. When I say failed them, they don't come up with ways, to make the game better. In order to pay players more money, you got to sell out stadiums. You see what I'm saying? You got to sell out. If you're not selling out stadiums, it's hard to pay like that. So in order to sell out stadiums, you got to come up and be more creative with what you're doing. And so that's where Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, all these other girls that came in that class, they came in to where the WNBA needs to learn how to be creative. They need to get around these girls, but they don't want to do that. The old guard doesn't want to do that. But I think once, and I don't want to see Asia, for example, Asia Wilson, she's a beast. She's the face of the WNBA. She ain't going anywhere anytime soon. But a lot of the older players, once they start phasing out and more younger players come in, I think the WNBA is going to grow and it's going to get better. But because right now, the older players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the rest of these girls, the older WNBA, they don't want to rally around them. If they chose to rally around them, to allow them, to do what they do, hey, fans will stack these arenas up, but they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. You can somewhat say it's jealous, maybe a little bit, but I get it. They want more money. But the WNBA can't pay money like that when they're not selling out. So that's my opinion on that, though. That is my opinion on that. Well, guys, I tell you, I am so ready for this big game this Sunday. Only comes around once a year. Looking forward to spring football. March Madness, you already know them brackets about to be filled up real soon. We definitely gonna talk brackets on this. Bracketology, that's what they like to call it, bracketology. I'm going with the Tar Heels all the way. You already know that. And of course my LSU Tiger women's. My girl Flajay, Michaela, Malaysia for Wiley, Jada Rashad. I mean, hey, my LSU Tiger girls are balling. Blew out Alabama by 40 points. Hey, I'll take that. You already know that. But they play Texas at 9 o'clock, which will be a big game. The first game, LSU defeated Texas. So this second game that's going to be in Austin is going to be a tough game. So I definitely will be watching that at 9 o'clock. All right, guys, that is going to do it for the show tonight. I'm going to do a special show Sunday. Hey, and I want to say this right here. I recently had a young lady that I interviewed, and it's all over. It's over social media. It's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Her name was Kayla Pinkert. She is a track star at Florida State University, triple jump. She's a triple jumper, and she is, when I tell you, this young lady is so smart, very, very smart. I can really see her, moving ahead like maybe Olympics or anything. She is very smart. Thank you so much for the interview you did. Thank you so much. We had an interview. If you guys haven't heard that interview, please check it out on my YouTube page. The full interview is on YouTube. You can see it on clips. It's Brutus J Podcast. And then look for the interview with Kayla Pinkert from Florida State University. Very smart young lady. So listen to that interview. And I just want to say thank you again, Kayla, for that interview. That was probably, like, out of all my interviews, she was my first college athlete. She did a wonderful job. Even off camera, we had a good conversation before the actual show got started, but she did a great job. So once again, thank you, Kayla Pinkert. And of course, we got more interviews lined up. I'm telling you guys, hey, sooner or later, you're going to see some NFL players. You're going to see some NBA players. This thing is going to get big. Be patient with me, though, because it's coming. It's coming. And before they come, I definitely will let you know so you can be tuned in. But other than that, guys, that is it for the show. After the big game, we will talk. I gave you my prediction. Hopefully it happens, and we'll definitely get into that. So you guys have fun, and be careful on them prop bets. They can get you. All right? Other than that, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we will chat.